Today we're going to learn to play a really good poker game. It's Texas Hold'em. If you've seen my other videos, you know how I really oversimplify and break things down super simply. So first what we're going to do in this video is learn the rules, and then I'm going to play a few hands. Now if you don't know how to play poker at all, that's for another video. So I'm going to actually assume that you know the basics of poker. Let's talk about what makes Texas Hold'em unique, because Texas Hold'em is one of the most popular variants of poker games in the world. And the reason for that is because it's really done in the betting. Instead of players getting dealt 5 cards to make their best 5-card hands, every player is only dealt 2 cards. And it's a stud game, meaning you can't turn cards back in. The 2 cards are private, nobody else can see them. And that's very important that nobody but you sees your cards. It's called the hole. And then on your turns, which I'll get to in a second, they turn over community cards. And you're going to use your 2 cards and look at the community cards of 5 and of the 7 cards to make your best 5-card hand. So most likely, since everybody is sharing the 5 community cards, the only thing that makes a good hand would be a card in your hand that somehow makes a hand better than everybody else's hand. So as a result, it's not really about do you have the best hand, because most of the time it's very close. There's only a 2-card difference between you and everybody. So it's really coming down to the betting. The reason that Texas Hold'em is one of the most popular poker variants is because it's the most psychological as it relates to bluffing and proper betting. It's almost the purest form of poker that is out there. So let's get into it. Everybody's going to receive 2 cards face down. And after a betting round where people bet on the 2 cards that only they can see, there's going to be 3 more rounds. The dealer's then going to do the flop, which is he's going to turn over the first 3 of the 5 community cards. So everyone sees now 3 cards on the table and 2 cards in their hand. And there's another round of betting. And looking at that, you're now basically looking at a 5-card hand, of which everybody knows 3 of the cards, and you know 2 of the cards. Perhaps you've paired up. Perhaps you've got a flush. Perhaps you've got a straight. Perhaps you have nothing. And then the next card is flipped over. It's called the turn. It's the 4th of the 5 community cards. And there's another round of betting on that. Did that 4th card help you? Did it hurt anybody? And then the final one, called the river, is the 5th community card, and it's the final round of betting before all the cards are laid out to see who won the big pot of chips. Now, we all know that there's multiple things that you can do when it's your turn. You can check, which is to do nothing but just pass. You can bet, placing a wager. You can call, which is to match a bet that somebody else made. You can raise, which means you can add more money, which everyone else must match to stay in. Or you can fold your hand, which is you're out of the game. And if you're playing with a table of 7 people, for example, in a casino, a couple people will drop out early. A couple people will drop out along the way, and really by the time you get to the river, you're usually only looking at 2 or 3 people in it, if it even makes it to the river. So therefore the game comes down to a lot of psychological betting. Because of that, I want to get into something called the blind, the big blind, and the small blind. There's a small blind and a big blind. And what that means is, instead of everybody anting at the beginning and putting their money in the middle, 2 people are forced to put money in early on, right at the beginning. One puts in a little bit of money, that's the small blind. One puts in a lot of money, and that's called the big blind. And it creates a little bit of a way to hide a good hand or a bad hand. If the big blind comes to you and you're putting in a lot of money, you've already put in money, so you don't have to be the person to sort of signal to everybody that you're in. You're already in. It's why I say this is a very psychological game. Some variations of the games, people do have antes where people put in money, and that is used in addition to the blinds, but that definitely depends on the table. Usually there's going to be additional antes based on tournament play, and in some cases it's just the big blind and the small blind. So the way it works is, even if there's one dedicated dealer, there's a button on the table that they put next to each person in a circle, and that explains who essentially is the dealer, because the way it would work is the dealer would deal the cards in a clockwise motion, starting with the person to his left. It's important to know the dealer because the dealer then determines where the blinds are. The small blind is posted to the left of the dealer, and the big blind is posted by the player to the left of the small blind. So you have the dealer, the small blind, and the big blind. And how much of a small blind and how much of a big blind? It can be determined by the group as to what that number is. Usually the small blind is 50% of the big blind. So let's say a big blind is $10, a small blind would be $5, and the big blind is usually considered to be the minimum bet, and the small blind is usually considered to be half the minimum bet. Because the big blind is already at the minimum bet, if everybody calls that bet, when it comes around again to the big blind, they don't have to put any more money in unless they're looking to raise, because they already have that in the table. For the small blind, they already have half the bet in there. So if they fold, they have lost half the minimum bet, or if they want to call, all they have to do is add half, since they've already have half the minimum bet in there. Additionally, in tournaments, as it goes on, the big blinds and the small blinds increase and can actually get to the part where you're putting in a very substantial amount of money to be the big blind. So that's a risk in itself. Usually in tournaments, Texas Hold'em is played until one person has won all of the money and everybody else has gone out. If there are two people with money, they will still continue to play until one person wins all the money. And like I said, in tournament play, the blinds and the ante increase as the tournament progresses. Once you finally get down to two people, what they call heads up or head to head, the rules on the blinds are a little bit different, because at that point there's only two people playing. You don't need to keep switching the dealer button back and forth. It's usually just switching the small blinds and the big blinds back and forth. Now, the most common variations are limit hold'em, no limit hold'em, and pot limit hold'em. Limit hold'em usually has been the most popular form in the casino. In limit hold'em, the bets and the raises during the first two rounds of betting have to be equal to the big blind. And then in the next two rounds, the turn and the river, the bets and raises have to be equal to twice the big blind. Now, if you've watched things like the World Series of Poker, they're not playing limit hold'em, they're playing no limit hold'em. And it's become pretty popular. And no limit hold'em is basically, there really isn't any limit, and you can go all in, and you can raise, and you can re-raise, and it's usually the most exciting. Now let's talk about the play of the hand. Because you just have these two private down cards in the hole, part of the strategy is to look at the three cards in the flop, look at your two cards and see what you have, but then ask yourself, what could anybody here at this table have in their hole, in their two cards, where when they look at the up cards, they actually could have something that's better than you. These are the things you want to think about. So here we go. There are 7 players, of which we are number 7. Our two cards, down cards here, are the 10 and the queen. You can see to my left here, there's the dealer, who's marked with a D, and therefore to his left is the small blind, which is 20, and to his left is the big blind, which is 40. Gabriel just folded his two cards, didn't even want to play anymore. Isabella called, thus the big blind of 40. Emma called. I'm going to also call. I really only have a queen of spades and a 10. I'm willing to see where we're going to go with this. Well, it looks like the dealer raised. Sam raised, and now everyone went along and also called, so everyone is 80 in. I'm going to do this because I want to get to the flop. But I'll tell you this, usually it works is if you don't have anything great in the flop, there's nowhere to go here. Looking at these cards, I have a 10 and a queen. I really don't have much to help, so I'm going to have to fold. I don't think I have a chance. And here's the turn. That would not have helped me either. And here's the river. That would have not helped me either. My cards, and ultimately the winner was Emma, who had a queen jack, so she had a pair of kings and a pair of 4s. Everyone had the pair of 4s, but those other cards didn't help me. So let's continue. Let's try this again. You can see that the dealer is now moved to Maria, the small blind is David, the big blind is now Gabriel, and everyone is matching the big blind. I have a 4 and a 10, but they are suited. So I'm going to call, and I'd like to again get to the flop to see how many hearts are perhaps in there. Maria raised, so let's go ahead and see. Well, we have a pair of sixes, but I am three to a flush. That doesn't necessarily help me. However, I do have a 10 in my hand, and if I was to get another 10 in the river or the flop, I would have two pairs. So I think it's worth calling to see where this goes. Oops, Sam re-raises, and this is part of it, to try to get people out. So now I actually had of a 4, and I'm now looking at two pairs already. I'm not going to get my flush, but two pairs is good, so I think I'll place a bet. And people are folding. And now it's just me and Maria. I'll call Maria. Let's get that third card. Perhaps we can get a 6 or a 4. And we get a 3. We actually have 4 to a flush, but that doesn't help us. But we do have to be careful here because there could be a straight. There's a 3, 4, 6, and 7 on the table. If Maria's holding a 5, she's going to beat me. All I have is two pairs, 6 and 4s. So let's check and see what she does. She bets a small amount, so I'll call that, and let's see. She had two pairs, so she had two pairs, 9s over 6s. We had two pairs, 6s over 4s. One more. The dealers moved to David, and now the small blind is Gabriel. The big blind is Isabella, and we have a queen, 3, not suited. We'll just call the big blind. Hopefully we can get to the flop, and it gives us a pair of queens. I think that's worth betting on. So let's go ahead and raise. Everyone is calling that, but Isabella is re-raising. Let's call. What could she have? She possibly could have a queen as well, or perhaps even two queens, which would give her 3 of a kind. We're also moving into 6 and 7 suited, so we have to be aware somebody could have a flush somewhere in there. I'm going to check and see where everyone else goes. A lot of checks. And then the river. 10. So there's 4 to a flush here. I have a pair of queens, but if somebody's sitting on a club, they've got a great hand. I'm checking, and David threw out money, which immediately caused Isabella to fold. Could he be bluffing? For the sake of today, let's go ahead and call him. Oops, but Samuel gave a raise, and I now definitely think between the two of them, one of them has a club. I'm going to fold. And yes, David did have a club. Ironically, Sam had the queen and stayed in as well, as I did. But he also had a 2. He would have had 2 pairs and beat me. So let's keep going. 9 and a 4. Not great cards. I'll call it just to see the flop. Oops, and she's raised it. Honestly, I think I'm going to fold it. I hope this does. I don't regret this. Remember, everybody, let's see how it plays out. I have a 9 of hearts and a 4 of diamonds. Would that have helped me or not? Here we go. Pair of jacks. So far, that would have been no help to me. And 2 pairs. Everyone's looking at 2 pairs. Anyone now with a jack and an 8 is a full house. And that wouldn't have helped me at all. So there you go. The full house with the jack. It's a good thing we dropped out when we did. Now I have a 10-3 suited, meaning diamonds. I'm the big blind, so all I have to do is check to stay in. Let's see what we get here. Another diamond and another diamond. So we're 4 to a flush, but if we don't get it and somebody has a king and a queen, they would have obviously a pair of kings or a pair of queens and be doing much better. But I'm going to try to raise them. I'm going to maybe make people think that I've got something here. And Samuel here on the left also raised. I'm going to call it just to move on. Give me that diamond. I've got a flush, which is looking pretty good. It doesn't mean potentially someone else could have that, but I think I'm going to take a chance and say, I'm going to go all in. And one person called. Uh-oh. And so here's the river. And so ultimately I lost because he was sitting on 2 queens, which gave him 3 queens, which would not have been bad. But in that river, he pulled another 2, which gave him a full house. There's no way he was going to go down either because he had 2 queens. And I actually think that's about the best I could do. Anyways, what a great game. To me, this is the one poker game that you can play for hours and hours and hours and hours. If you have any questions about the game, sure, go ahead and let me know. If you haven't seen my other casino games, like how to play craps and baccarat and pai gow and blackjack and more, check them on out. I hope you learned something on this. And if you want to subscribe, I won't say no.